I'll be making a USB powered LED rose. For the stem of the rose, I'll be using this 6mm acrylic rod, which you can get on eBay for a pack of 6 you can get for like $2. In the ends, I already pre-drilled 3mm holes to fit 3mm LEDs. For that I'll use 2 at each end green LEDs with their separate 110 ohm resistors. And for the top, the pedals, I'll use a piece of toilet paper, a red LED with a 150 ohm resistor, and a blue LED with a 100 ohm resistor. To connect all of it, I'll use enameled copper wire that I will salvage off of this fan stator. You can buy some, but the thing I like about this is that one wire is the brown colored and the other one is red. Can you see that? Yeah. So, to start, I'll take the green LEDs and glue them into the end with some hot glue. You could use resin, but hot glue is just faster. And this way, since you're gluing them in, the hole doesn't need to be precisely the length of the LEDs. It can be a little bit longer. The hot glue will fit it, hopefully. Yes. I'll jam them in as deep as they go. Yes. Okay. So, that's done. Now I'll shorten the leads. First the negative, first the one, in this case the negative, so I don't mix up the polarity. And then, yep. And then shorten the legs of the resistors. They don't need to be long, because if they're short, they'll fit better. Now I'll take a helping hand to hold the LED and the rod. It doesn't fit, of course. Yep. I'll tin the LED and the resistor. It would be a good idea to use a fume extractor at this point, but well, I'll solder it. Yes, and then, oh, it doesn't hold, of course. Yes, you could add the extra resin, extra flux to this. Of course, it doesn't want to hold since I'm doing a video. Okay, one side done. The other side is the same. And if you're wondering, all the LEDs will be in parallel. You could use a single resistor, but since I'm using a red LED, the forward voltage of it is lower, so I can't connect them all in parallel. It just won't work. Okay, now I'll chop the entire thing all even. It would be a good idea to use 8 watt resistors because they're smaller. Maybe even use SMD resistors, but that would be a pain to solder by hand. Yes. Now I'll tin the legs of the USB connector. In this case, the left one is the negative and the right one is the positive. I think. Yes, I marked it previously. The way you know this, is, apart from looking up on the internet, is just plug it into a USB power supply and then measure the voltage. Yep. Will they reach? I hope they will. Now this is a hard part to do. Yeah, I'll solder. Why? The reason I'm soldering this directly is so it gives it more strength when it's plugged in. Okay, I hope I'll slide the heat shrink on it first. Well, I could slide it on the other side, so I'll slide the one that goes for the pedals. So I'll use I'll solder and the resistor on the blue LED. For that, I'll also chop its leads shorter. Yep, it's like 2 mm. I leave like 2 millimeters on them. Not like that matters. You can do your own length. Yep. And I'll do the same with the red also. Yeah, don't forget to chop the leads. Yeah, I'm doing this because, well, it's just a nice one. And also, like, this, if you're using this, you won't need to cut down a real rose. Also, you can do whatever color you want. It doesn't have to be red or blue or whatever. You can make it ultraviolet or whatever, pink, yellow, whatever LEDs you can find, basically. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'll also chop the top of the LED because so that not all the light goes out of the top. Yes, you could use straw hat LEDs or flat top LEDs, but you can also just chop the top off. It works the same. Okay, now I'll somehow need to twist these together. I should probably have done this earlier, before chopping them to length. I'll also need pliers to do this nicer. Yep. Solder these together. Yep. Should have twisted these together. Well, didn't think about it. Now it's too late. Yeah, that's one thing you could do differently. And then these. Yes. Solder this to the LED up here. To its leads. Yep. It's not that this takes a long time. You can easily make a few. It's not a good idea to offer to make someone like 10 of these because it will take quite a long time. But if you want, you can offer like to make them 3 of these or 5. Yes. Yeah, it's quite tall. That's why I recommend using ace watt resistors. Okay, now I'll also need to connect these really thin wires to it. Oh, no, before that, I'll use a heat gun to shape the rod. I'll be back once I figure out the way I'll do this. I mean, I just heat it and then bend it. It's quite easy. You could, if you don't have a heat gun, you could use also a lighter or something. So yeah, I'll be right back. So I bent the rod to give this leaf shape and also a curve here to make it look more organic. I also glued the wire onto the stem with hot glue, and these also look like the thorns of the rose. I also soldered up the plug and put some heat shrink over it. There's also hot glue inside it so it doesn't bend. Also, I bend the LEDs down so the light doesn't shine out of the rose and into the petals more. And so, for the petals, I'll be using toilet paper that I separated into individual layers. These are two pieces that still are connected because I need it longer. I'll bend them in half, and the open side will go to the top. The first layer can be wrapped quite closely. Then I'll fold them with every wrap so it's not as tight. Yes. Then I'll get another piece, also bend it in half. And don't worry if it's ripped at the top, it will give it even more character. If you want, you can take scissors and cut into the top of it so it looks more natural, I guess. Or you could not. Yes. Wrap it around. I'll also, since in between the layers, I should glue them so they don't come apart. So be careful not to burn your fingers, as I just did. Yes. I'll glue them. Now I'll use a full height one. Maybe not, maybe I'll cut a bit of it. Yes, I'll scrunch it up so it's not an even edge. Cut it off. Yes, and then wrap this because so it's taller. Yep. Don't forget to scrunch it up while you're doing this so it looks better. Yes. Again, glue it. Don't burn your fingers because it's not worth it. And then the final layer can be just a whole one. Well, maybe I'll cut up a little bit so it's not even. Yeah, like this. I'll also dab at the start of it. And then fold it around. This is gonna be quite a fat rose. Yep. And nice and tight to hold them together. Glue them so they don't come off. Could also use some tape if you want it at this stage, or heat shrink if you had big fat enough piece, but I don't, so I won't. Well, I'll put more glue so it holds nice and firm. Yeah. And that's done. Yes, and now the rose is done. You can fluff it up and plug it in to test it. Hope it works. And yes, it does. Yeah, it looks nice. Well, the red doesn't show up. Yeah, a bit here, but eh. Should probably put like 2 red LEDs, but no, it looks good enough. Yep, that's why I'm pointing the LEDs inside so it lights up the rose itself and not it doesn't just spew out the end. It's still doing that, but it's less now. And look at this. Yeah. Can do this. And there, an LED rose. I'll zoom out a bit. Yeah. There it is. It's swamping out a bit.